People in Lockport want justice for a black man who was killed by police. Good evening, I'm Hannah Bueller. Troy Hodge died a year and a half ago. The Lockport Police Department is now required to submit a reform agenda to the state. Tonight, the I-Team's Madison Carter looks at the influence Hodge's death is having on that effort. We want to warn you that some of the pictures that you will see here are graphic.
Who'd have thought? If I'd have knew what was going to happen like that, I'd never called the law.
It was close to midnight, June 16th, 2019.
It started from my driveway.
Fatima Hodge's son, Troy, showed up acting strange. She needed some help.
Mom called us to try to get him some help. You know, we went there to try to help him, and, you know, that's what we were trying to do. It didn't go exactly, you know, the best way it could have.
I'm thinking they're coming to help my child, then realize death was right at hand.
Troy Hodge grew up right here in this Park Avenue home in Lockport. He was a father, a stepfather, and a longtime partner to Nicole. In every corner of Fatima Hodge's home, there are memories of her firstborn. But now those memories are marred every time she leaves these four walls.
Every time I think about it, I think about it so much that something comes in your mind and you can't forget it.
It's not just the images running through her mind, it's the physical reminders that won't let her forget.
Still body slamming in the pavement. My son is pleading and begging for his life.
No, please, babe.
Matter of fact, you can see see my neighbor.
This is from what happened right here.
Right there. Did they listen? No. They had a choice. They could have stopped. When they was body slamming, kicking him in the side, the officer kicked him in his right ribs in the side, face in this pavement like a piece of steak. That was wrong.
Don't kill me, man.
And I couldn't have reached out to grab my child because they would have kept me if I would have came up on them.
You believe you would have died?
Oh, I'd have died without a doubt. Can you imagine seeing your child pleading, Mama, stay in the light, don't let them kill me, Mama, and they still killed him in front of my eyes? Oh, God. That rings in Mama's ear day in and day night. I can hear my child, please, Mama, don't let him kill me.
Both mother and son shared an understanding that no one else seemed in on. He would soon leave this earth.
He's not breathing. He's not breathing. Take him off.
All while they both looked on at an ambulance only feet away at the base of her driveway.
Ambulance, they begged for the ambulance. The ambulance stayed there till they killed him.
Fatima Hodge says she knew the moment he was gone.
Not dead. He's fine. He's fine. We're going to get him some medical attention now.
That kick took a life. And they didn't have to do that. You didn't have to do that. You didn't have to kill him. Didn't have to kill him. Like that.
Troy Hodge's death brought intense scrutiny on the Lockport Police Department, a department that's been heavily criticized for decades over negative police interactions Black residents say they've had. These are some of the most recent, published in a report released last October by the department as part of a public policy review.
I came looking for what you're looking for, because I heard things.
18 years ago, Mark Sanders went digging for answers.
They gave me full access to the computer system, cases, traffic stops, everything, and I did my own query.
He was hired by the department, not as an officer, but as a community policing aide. He is the only Black person employed by Lockport PD.
I came in with eyes wide. You know, people talk about racist officers. I went looking for them. And I didn't really find, you know, it wasn't what I was looking for.
What did you find then?
I found people.
Sanders was tasked nearly 2 decades ago with helping those people, all white, add some diversity to the ranks. But it hasn't happened. Although it's not because nobody's tried. We got a demographic breakdown from a Freedom of Information request. It shows that since 2005, there have been 6 civil service exams. 31 black people have taken the test, 11 Hispanic, 6 Asian, and 13 of other non-white descent. Today, the department has 46 white officers and 1 Hispanic officer. While the city doesn't have a large black population, just 7%, the department itself still doesn't reflect all those it serves.
I think it's just a department based on the system that we have in place. That's really what it is. It's not for lack of want or lack of trying.
Chief Stephen Abbott came out of retirement to take over LPD in November of 2019, months after Hodge was killed. He says there's a desire to hire non-white officers, but he just doesn't have the power to do it.
So help explain, are they not qualified? Why are they not making it onto the force?
We're in a unique situation with the city of Lockport. I do not hire, I do not fire, I do not promote. The most I can do is give somebody either a verbal reprimand or a 3-day suspension. This is by charter.
Lockport PD is governed by a police commission. It has the final say. That is, after civil service laws do their work.
When they came up with civil service originally, it was supposed to level the playing field for everybody because a test can't see race or gender. It was, that's the way it was supposed to be.
But that's not what happened. Here's how it really works. First, all candidates take the test. Where
you score on that test depends on whether or not you're going to get an interview and based on the number of people that you have. Civil service mandates that if we have 1 position open, we have to hire from the top 3 bodies.
Anyone who scores below an 85 is automatically disqualified. Those above then go to the next steps: the agility test, then the run test, push-up test, background check, psych exam, a polygraph. If you get through all that, great. Now you get an interview, but you're still not in. Then comes the police academy for 5 months, followed by field training, and then 52 weeks of a probationary period where you can be fired for just about anything.
When you look at that broad spectrum of list of things that I just gave you, you think to yourself, my God, that's pretty, for some people, it could be unattainable.
Abbott and Sanders say these legal barriers are preventing the community from getting a police department that reflects it.
And I believe changes should be made. I believe in a total revamping of that system.
When we start talking about like diversity hiring, I have 2 Hispanic males, I have a Hispanic female, I have a black male, I have a Native American. I can't even consider them.
It's not just the color of the department that was highlighted by Hodge's death. Transparency came to the forefront as well. Video shows Lockport police interacting with Hodge, but we don't see it from their perspective. This is body camera footage from the Niagara County Sheriff's Office, and that's because the LPD body cameras weren't turned on.
And I never realized until that incident that they didn't even have to have their cameras on because the policy was just for traffic stops.
The Lockport Police Department was one of the first in the country to get body cameras, but prior to June of 2019, no one was really clear on how they were to be used.
The body cameras we knew needed to be replaced. We were able to get the funding available, but it didn't happen until after the incident. And we were able to say that, this is a prime example of why we needed to update it.
Current Chief Abbott says cameras only had to be used during traffic stops due to storage problems and battery life at that point. New cameras were purchased and policy was changed only after Troy died.
Any interaction with the public is recorded.
And those interactions with the public are what Abbott says need to change if the perception of his department is ever going to improve.
It's imperative upon us to not be seen just as law enforcement. We want to be seen as helpful. We want to be seen as part of the community, and we're humans too.
Mark Sanders, who has been tasked for 2 decades with being a liaison between the community and the police department, feels that's where they need to go to get their first black officer.
We do best with homegrown. Kids that come from our community, that are familiar with the community, that are invested in the community, because when you are in the community, you have a different investment.
The department is starting earlier. It's creating pathway programs inside of schools. It's doing civil service and agility test prep, spending some time on racial bias and mental health call training, and it's targeting the next generation in a different kind of way.
We've somehow forgotten about the youth. you know, and they fall into the system. Well, once again, shame on us.
Fatima Hodge, who lost her son at the hands of the law, isn't asking for departments to be defunded.
But the law needs to change. Get to know your community. Get to know people in your community. All peoples, all race ain't bad.
Mrs. Hodge is suing the city of Lockport and its police department over the death of her son. Details of that suit aren't public, but she did tell us it's not about money. She says she wants training. She says she wants a department people who look like her can call for help.
The law, I respect the law, but respect us.
Hodge's death is still under investigation by the New York Attorney General's office. 4 officers were involved. They were all put on administrative leave, and they've all now independently retained counsel. Now, when that new chief, Stephen Abbott, took office in November of 19, 3 of those officers had been returned to patrol. He says it was his first order of business to put those officers back on duty where they remain today. He told me, quote, "It was the right thing to do." Madison Carter, 7 Eyewitness News.